Hello. How's everyone? Good? Cool. So this is me. My name is Leanne. I'm currently interning at Microsoft as a public sector marketing intern. So just show of hands, how many of you are first years? Cool. Second years? Loads. Third years? Cool. So I'm in between my degree. So I've done my first 2 years, I'm doing a year at Microsoft and then going back to do my final year. So literally about a year ago I was in the exact same position as you were. I was actually at a similar event at my own university where they had all the final years come back and present about their internship years. And one of my lecturers was like, oh yeah, only about 20% go on in an internship. And I was like, 20%? It's like 100 people on my course. Like, how am I ever going to get an internship? And I had a massive panic because even though I was panicking, I knew from day one that I definitely wanted to do an internship, so I knew that was the best way to get the best possible graduate opportunities when I graduate. So, it was a long process, but there were steps that I took from my first year at university to ensure that I get the internship that I want. So, I'm just going to talk through my professional experience. In my first year, I just saw an advert on our university careers portal for jobs as a Virgin Media brand ambassador, and I just so happened to write this piece of coursework about one of the campaigns I did. And I was like, well, I kind of know that with a company background I might as well apply. So I applied, and I got the job, and it was a sales role, so all we had to do was sell Virgin Media packages to students in any which way you wanted. So you're basically your own boss, and you had targets to reach, but you put in as much as you get as much as you put in. And they actually ran this competition in the first year that I was doing it. That was present your business plan to us, and then the best will get to go to Richard Branson's Pitch to Rich event at his house. So I saw it and I was like, oh, well, my business plan's not great, so I don't really know if I should enter. But obviously it's a great opportunity, so I did it anyway. And what I did is that I tracked my business plan on a blog and just kept tracking it throughout the whole campaign, what went well, what didn't, and how I could improve it for the next year. And they seemed to really like it, so I actually won, and I got to go and meet Richard Branson's house, which was pretty cool. And that's something that can stand out in your CV. So in regards to that, I would say, try getting experience in areas, any area, even if it's unrelated to your role. Like, I don't want to go into sales, like I'm not a salesperson, but it's still really valuable skills that you can learn. Another thing that I've done, is I was recently on the Google Bold Emoji program. That's actually where I met Aman and Ishmael. And what I say about that is try and get to as many insight days and as many events as possible at these companies that you want to work for, because that's where you meet people and that's where you can get the insight into how to actually get a job there. Because when we were at Google, they gave us so many tips, they gave us so many insights, and there's those people that are on the program that are in the process of applying there and hopefully securing full-time jobs and internships like these two have already. And when you go to these places, keep those connections, because even though you're looking for internships at the moment, later down the line you might want to start a startup, and you might not be very techy, I'm not very techy, but you might know people that will be good at that sort of stuff, so always keep those connections. Moving on. So at university, like everybody said before, there are literally so many things you can get involved in, and a couple of things that I've done is one of my lecturers, she works as a marketing consultant, and she was doing a project with one of her clients, and she got some students to get involved, or she picked some students. I was like, yeah, I definitely want to be involved, it'd be a great experience. It was literally about heavy duty vehicles drivers, so literally the dullest subject you could ever imagine. But the whole point of it is that we had to do a situational analysis about the market, and then we have to go back and present to the client, and that experience in itself is so valuable. So even if the subject matter or the topic is not particularly inspiring, still try and get involved in as many opportunities as you can, because it gives you so much experience on your CV. And like, not many people can say that they have done a project for a real live company, and they're actually using the results. So try and get involved as many things as you can. Another thing is volunteering. So this is an event that we did with the British Council, the Going Global event that they do every year. And that was a really amazing event because they had delegates coming from all around the world. And we were just helping out on the day, registering delegates, but I kind of just went around and listened to all the talks and networked with everybody. So use opportunities like that to just try and get your foot in the door and try and expose yourself to a wide range of people and opportunities. And on the volunteering point, I also volunteered for a charity called Headway. Organisations love it if you show that you can give back to the community and volunteer in some way. Because not only does it show that you do have some hobbies outside of your university life, but it shows that you're compassionate and you care about people, and it does also really develop your personal skills. Because the charity that I worked with, Headway, they deal with people that suffer from brain injuries. So you have to interact with them in a slightly different way that you would to everybody else on a day-to-day basis, because those type of people, they're quite cut off from society, so they don't go to work anymore because they can't, and just sitting down with someone, one of those patients, it really kind of makes their day because they don't really get that interaction very much. Moving on, and do those extracurricular stuff. As you see, I'm a cheerleader, absolutely love it, and definitely get involved in team sports because you can gain so many team skills, leadership skills, and communication skills from that. And not only get involved in the committees. So I was hostess for our team last season, and I went for that role because it was really aligned to what I wanted to do in advertising and marketing. So if you can make those connections, then that's absolutely great. But don't even settle for that. Go higher. Go for president. Show your leadership skills. Show that you can manage a group of people, because that's definitely skills that employers are looking for. And if you can, try and get some international experience. I was lucky enough to go on an exchange trip to China, and we stayed at Nanjing Agricultural University. We did loads of lessons in Chinese culture, where we interacted with the Chinese students, and just immersing yourself in a different culture and learning about the language, learning about the culture is an aspect that those employers look for, just because of the power of international markets in the modern market. So I'm just going to talk through how I got an internship. As I mentioned at the beginning, literally about September, October, when I was starting to think about applying for places, I just had a massive panic. I didn't think I could get one, because you look at the numbers and you just think, there's so many candidates out there and there's just me, and I don't know how I stand out, I don't know how to go about it. But the more I kept applying, the more I picked up different tips and skills that I kept applying to all my applications, and then eventually got an offer. So, in terms of your CV, I won't reiterate what's already been said, but make sure you have a clear layout, no more than 2 pages, because no one's going to read it. I mean, my CV fits 2 pages, but it's not like I've got 10 years worth of experience, so it should fit no more than 2 pages. One key tip that I learned was use metrics to highlight and enhance your achievements. So say you're a sports team, say you've won a league of some sort, mention how many other teams win that league, just to put some perspective on how much you've actually achieved. It really adds weight to your CV. One thing that I found the most useful is to get as many people as possible to review your CV. I know it sounds really boring, but it literally works so much. And I can talk about CVs for days just because I've had so many different people review my CV. So get lecturers, get your placement advisors, get your parents, get your friends, classmates, anybody you can think of, because they'll all have different opinions and they can all help you improve it in different ways. So that's my main tip for CVs: get as many people to review it as possible. In terms of applications, I know it sounds really boring and really long, and it is, but you have to tailor your application for each different job role that you apply for. So you can't just use the same template for every single job role, especially if you're applying to different industries, because they're just going to see right through it and you're just going to be put to the bottom of the list. one main thing that I made sure I did is research the company's core competencies. So those are the characteristics that they look for in their candidates. And when you're answering the application questions, and do this in your interviews as well, make sure you match your experiences to their core competencies. So for example, if they're looking for someone with leadership skills, make sure you have examples of times when you've shown when you've been a leader. Also, it goes without saying, visit company websites to do your research, but what's more insightful is blog sites. So most companies will have blog sites, whether they're product-based, service-based about companies, but some will actually have some recruitment blog sites. Like we have one at Microsoft which is run by the interns called Be Your Future, and it's really, really useful because it tells you all about the different roles that are on offer, and it gives you loads of application tips. Make sure you're aware of the relevant industry news, especially if you're going for like the financial industry, tech industry, because it's changing so much all the time. You need to be able to keep up with what's going on and show that you're aware of that. And make sure your LinkedIn is up to date. And not just your LinkedIn, all your different social media, so your Twitter, your Facebook, your Pinterest, your Tumblr, because recruiters do stalk. So you might get caught out if you have some inappropriate stuff online. Okay, assessment centres. In total, I applied for about 15 year-long internships. Got invited to about 6 assessment centres, and I went to these 3. It was interesting because the first 2 gave me the opposite feedback. So when I went to Virgin Media Business, they were really impressed with my knowledge of the company, my enthusiasm, but when it came to the presentations task, they felt that I held back a bit. So I took this on to my next interview, which was at SAP, and they said that the presentation went really well, really enthusiastic, but I didn't show as much passion for the company. So my tips for that is, even if they don't ask any questions about the company itself, make sure you show your enthusiasm for it and why you want to work there. And also, one thing that I picked up is that when you go to assessment centre, you're always being assessed. Even when they give you breaks, even over like the lunch break, the recruiters are still there and they are still watching you. So make sure you interact with the other candidates, make sure you ask questions to the recruiter and the assessors on the day. It just shows that you're interested, and it shows that you really want it and that you're enthusiastic, and they will take that on board. Prepare questions to ask about the role. I know it's difficult because, especially when you're at an assessment centre and you have to go through several different interviews, you just run out of questions. But again, it shows that you're interested in the role and that you really want it and that you want to find out more. And again, expect to do group exercises and presentations. But when you're doing group exercises, it's like you go, you know there's going to be one person there that's going to talk over everybody and try and control the whole thing. If that is the case, be the person that is a good listener and tries to get the whole group involved. That's what employers look for when they're looking for candidates. They don't want the person that's going to take over the whole group. They want someone that's going to include everybody. So if you can show that, that would be really great. And structure your answers using the STAR method. Has anybody heard about that before? Yeah? So it's situation, task, action, result. So when you're being asked competency questions, if you can think of a situation and the task and what the action that you did, what was the result, put metrics to the result and make sure all 4 are related to what you did, not what your team members did. Make sure it's about what you did, because that's what they want to hear. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about what I actually do at Microsoft. So, this was my 3rd day. We had a kick-off event to celebrate the start of the new financial year, and the whole team was dressed up as Harry Potter. So it was a really warm welcome. And one thing that I've learned is that it's such a big place, there are so many people, it's easy to get really lost. But you just have to be confident in yourself and make those connections and sustain those connections to really make an impact. Oh, I'm missing a picture. Okay, go back. Okay, so one thing I love doing is events. So I'm in a marketing role. If you're going for that sort of thing or not really sure, events is a really good area to get experience in because you can show your organisational skills. So we're working on a couple of two big flagship events, which is BET, which is the UK's biggest education show, and Future Decoded, which is a first party event, and then over VXL. And you have to do all sorts of planning, you have to do speaker liaison, you have to make sure the devices are ready, you have to just do loads of planning. But the reason I love doing events is that you can see the whole big picture at the end of it. And one thing I will say is that when you are doing an internship, make sure you can measure the results of all the activities you're doing. So for an event, one way you can measure it is how many leads that you've got, and as a result, how many of those were followed up and what was the result. Another thing I do is digital marketing. So for a lot of these areas that I'm going to talk about, there are ways that you can demonstrate this before you've even secured a job role. So I mentioned that I've done blogging before. I do a lot of blogging, and I have for quite a long time. And they really wanted to up their social media coverage this year. So they thought I was a really good fit for the job. And one of the things I do is blog on all our blogging sites for education. So we've got one for schools, one for higher education, and one for further education. This is a video, I don't know if it will work, but you can skip over it. Basically,
workforce, when 90% of the work in a restaurant is goes through the desk, young people can make up such a huge percentage of our workforce. Bringing him onto the Spark creating a solution that cuts straight through to the team member who's working in the restaurant, but also in a way they can access on their own time and in a way they wanted it to be. So the solution I went for was Yammer from Microsoft. It's a platform that can be used on multiple devices so they can pull the information themselves rather than have to rely on the restaurant manager to tell them what they need.
So that was a customer case study, which I featured in. And what that is about is we get all our customers to try and become references for us, so we can advertise on their channels, our channels as well as theirs. So that was just a fun thing that we did. And this is our digital inclusion program, which is Get Online at Home. It's where we provide refurbished devices for people who can't afford like brand new laptops and tablets. The thing about this is when you are on your internship, you're going to come into loads of challenges, and I think it's really important to always keep a record of the challenges that you're facing, what you're learning and how you're solving them, because this will be really useful when you go on to apply for graduate jobs or jobs in the future. And then you can, because it's really good for just reflecting on what you're learning. And if you come into a similar situation in the future, you should know how to solve the situation. This is EduConnect. It's just an internal initiative that we are using to get more employees to volunteer in the education space. The thing about this is, when you're given a project, it can start off about this small. And that's how it started for us, but we've tried to make it as big as possible. So nobody reached anything with it last year, but this year we're aiming to reach about 15,000 kids through employees going out volunteering. We've met with the general manager of Microsoft UK, and we've met with those senior management. Try and get your hands on a project that will expose you to all the different parts of the business, so then you can make those contacts, you can make those connections. And not only can you learn about all those different parts of the business, but it's amazing to have those contacts for the future. And these are stretch projects. So I've talked about things that are part of my core role, but these are things that I've done that are outside of my role. It's really important that you stretch yourself and you do things that aren't your core job role, so you can develop other skills in other areas. So I have done 3 different stretch projects that I'm working on at the moment. One is the Get On team, where we go out to careers fairs and talk about careers in tech. The other is the Tech Traineeship Working Experience Programme, which is a programme for unemployed and students who are out of education. So it's pre-apprenticeship style. And that's been very challenging because you learn how to manage people that are challenging to work with, and that is a lifelong skill. And then there is Aspire, which is the Women in Tech programme. So that is with a team of interns, and I lead that team. And that's also very challenging. It's very challenging to manage a team of very opinionated young women. So if you can try and stretch yourself in areas that you're not comfortable in, so try and get out of your comfort zone, by the end of the year you'll reflect on that and you will have learned so much. So my final thought is, build your portfolio of experience now. Especially if you're in your first year, because you've got so much time and there are so many opportunities at university to build your CV, build your portfolio of experience. There's literally not a better place to do that, so literally do it now. Even if you're in your second year and you're starting to apply for internships, do it now. Like I was looking at my CV like September last year, and I was like, I don't really have any volunteer experience. So I just went along to the volunteering fair at my university, signed up for a charity and started volunteering there every week. So do that now. So the application processes and actually working during your internship is challenging, and sometimes you're going to want to feel like you want to give up because you're not getting anywhere. But you need to realise that this whole thing is a learning experience. So if you're making something like 50 applications and you're not getting anywhere, just take a step back and think, well, why am I not getting anywhere? Like, what do I need to change? Like, think about how you can make this into a learning experience, because at the end of the day, no matter what happens, this will be valuable for you in some way, whether you do or do not get the internship, though I'm sure you will. And lastly, keep a record of everything you're doing and everything that you are learning, like I said earlier. So make a list of all the events that you've organised, make a list of all the blog posts that you've put out and the reach that it's had, make a list of all the people you've reached through a specific programme. And this will not only be helpful like now, but when you're reflecting that at the end of the year, you can say, well, I've achieved X, Y, and Z, and then you can go out when you're applying for graduate roles and say, and they'll say, well, what did you do in your internship year? You were there for a whole year. And then you can say, I've done X, Y, and Z, and I reached this many people, and I achieved this many sales, and you were really, really impressed employers. So I think that was all I had to say.